2020 Planning Commission meeting. Recommendations of the Planning Commission on certain items from the agenda will be considered by the Board of Commissioners at the regular meeting on November 5th, 2020 at 10:30 a.m. The Planning Commission utilizes speaker request forms, which are available in the Commission chambers during the meeting. We have the three of us up here. We have Jim on Zoom. Takes four to make a quorum, so we all need to agree today. With the COVID and all the other stuff, I guess I would just remind everybody that we'll try to keep social distancing here up at the podium. And please, only one person up at the podium at a time when we're going through those items. With that, we'll do roll call. Everything will need to be by roll call today due to Jim being on Zoom, and I am here.
Lloyd.
Here.
Travis.
Here.
Jim.
Here.
Okay, next item on the agenda is approval of the October 12th, 2020 minutes. Are there any corrections or changes to the minutes?
Move for approval.
Hearing none, seeing none. We have a motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. Further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. Roll call vote.
Rich.
Aye.
Lloyd.
Aye.
Travis.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 2 on the agenda is approval of today's agenda. We have consent items 3 through 5. Regular agenda items 6 through 12, followed by the end of our normal agenda for the day. Are there any changes or corrections to today's agenda?
Move approval.
Second.
Motion and second for approval of today's agenda. Further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. Roll call vote.
Rich.
Aye.
Lloyd.
Aye.
Travis.
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Motion carries. That brings us to today's consent agenda.
Good morning, Commissioners. Brittany Molitor, Planning Director. The following items have been placed on the consent agenda for action to be taken on all items in accordance with staff's recommendation by a single vote. Any item may be removed from the consent agenda by any planning commissioner, staff member, or audience member for separate consideration. The findings of this planning commission are recommendations to the Pennington County Board of Commissioners, who will make the final decision. Item number 3 is conditional use permit review CU 1322 for Dudley and Isla LaPointe to review a single-wide mobile home to be used as a single-family residence in a suburban residential district. And staff is recommending approval of the extension of conditional use permit CU 1322 with conditions. Item number 4 is conditional use permit review CU 1528 for Michael and Erica Radke. Nadine Radke is the owner, to review a single-wide mobile home to be used as a ranch hand residence on the subject property in a general agriculture district. Staff recommends to continue the review of conditional use permit CU 1528 to the March 22nd, 2021 Planning Commission meeting in order to address, for the address to be posted and for the roof and siding to be addressed with one condition. Item number 5 is conditional use permit review CU 1926 for Danny Cruz to review living in a recreational vehicle stored within a pole barn on the subject property in a low-density residential district. The staff is recommending to continue the review of conditional use permit CU 1926 to the November 23rd, 2020 Planning Commission meeting with one condition.
Thank you. Are there any items that staff wishes to pull from the agenda?
No.
Are there any items the membership wishes to pull from the agenda? Hearing none, seeing none. For those in the public in the audience today, items 3, 4, and 5 on today's agenda are on the consent agenda. And what that means is that we'll vote on those 3 items with one vote. So are there any of those items that anyone in the audience wishes to speak on today? Did you raise your hand, sir, or did you just take your glasses off? Just took your glasses off. Okay. So hearing none, seeing none, I'd entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Further discussion? Seeing none, hearing none. There's no further comment from the public on any of these items before the commission votes. Okay, roll call vote.
Rich,
Aye.
Lloyd,
Aye.
Travis,
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Motion carries. This brings us to item 6.
Good morning, Cody Sack, Environmental Planner. Item number 6 is conditional use permit review, CU 1633. It's to review a single-wide mobile home to be used as a permanent single-family residence. It's been continued the last several meetings for Commissioner Johnson wanted to see pictures of the property that the applicant submit pictures. He did. So staff is recommending now approval of conditional use permit 1633 with conditions.
Any questions for staff on this item? Any discussion from the audience on this item? With that, staff recommends approval of the extension of conditional use permit CU 16-33 with 8 conditions. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. Is there any final comment on this from the public in the audience today? No. Roll call vote.
Rich,
Aye.
Lloyd,
Aye.
Travis,
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Motion carries. Brings us to item 7.
Item 7 is conditional use permit CU 20-21. It's to bring an existing mobile home park into compliance. The applicant is Pacific Properties LLC with Tamara Bax as the agent. Currently, as the property sits, it's zoned suburban residential. It's 10.2 acres. It's off a Universal Drive, which is maintained by the county highway department. There is special flood hazard on the area. It is only the 500 year though, so it's unregulated. Currently, lots 2 through 12, 16 through 29, 33B, 34, 35, 41, 43, 45, 47, and 52 have an existing mobile home on the lot. So this is a total of 36 lots have mobile homes. And lots 1, 13 through 15, 30 through 33, 36 through 40, and 48 through 50 are currently vacant. That's for a total of 16 lots. And the on-site wastewater treatment system was just upgraded by the city. There was 3 separate additions to the system. It was routed for comment. There were some comments back. County Highway, the access road on the side right here is a section line road that's not built to Ordinance 14 standards. So the applicants will either need to build that road to Ordinance 14 standards or go to the county board and request waivers for road for those standards. And then emergency services requested that the lots be renumbered. The lots are numbered in a weird way that 911 is concerned with finding people. The applicant is aware of this and she's working with our staff to bring that part into compliance. Other than that, there's no major concerns. With the conditional use permit, there's 5 considerations. The first is that the effect upon use and enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity for the uses that are already permitted and upon property values within the immediate vicinity. It appears by allowing the conditional use permit, there'd be no long-term negative effects on the use and enjoyment on other properties in the immediate vicinity. This is an existing mobile home. It's Ponderosa Ranch Mobile Home Park, so it's existing. That the effect upon normal and orderly development and improvement of the surrounding vacant property uses predominant in the area, allowing this conditional use permit should not affect the normal orderly development or improvement of the surrounding property. The utilities, access road, drainage, and other necessary facilities are provided. It appears that all utilities and access roads are provided. That off-street parking and loading requirements are met. It does appear that there's enough space for 2 off-street parking spots per mobile home. And that measures are taken to control offensive odor, fumes, dust, noise, vibration, and lighting so that none of these will constitute a nuisance. The proposed use should not create any of the above listed elements in the amounts that would consider or would constitute a nuisance. The road will need to be maintained in a dust-free manner, and that is a condition. So like I said, this is an existing mobile home park. There are several vacant lots and they want to add to those lots, but they've been vacant for years. So they lost their grandfather for those mobile home lot on those lots. So that's why we're at this conditional use permit. They do have several permits that they've submitted to the office so that once this is approved and all conditions are met, they can get those permits. The mobile homes do not meet the 20-foot setback. So mobile homes, all of them have to meet a 20-foot setback, front, back, side, rear from other units. If you look in here, these units right here are only about 10 feet apart on each side, and then some of them are less than like 5. So they'll either have to reconfigure the lots or move those or go to the county board and get a variance to that 20-foot setback, which is a condition in there. Other than that, staff did receive a call from a neighbor, just wondering if it was about his property, if it affected his property at all. It doesn't, and he said that the current owners are really cleaning up the park and it's actually looking really nice now. So with that, staff's recommending approval with 18 conditions.
Thank you. Are there any questions for staff on this item? We have a few questions. So this has a 2021 CU number on it, which means, do I understand this right, that it wasn't under a conditional use permit and now it needs to be because they intend on making upgrades and adding more homes to the park?
Correct. Some of those lots have been vacant for like 20 years. So now that they want to upgrade the park and add more mobile homes, they need to bring it into compliance with a conditional use permit.
My next question is, if some of them don't meet the current setbacks from adjacent units and they want to add more units, is the space there to do that?
So they'd have to, there's only at certain lots where they could put them in now that wouldn't require the variance. Other than that, it was previous so that it was allowed. When they bring them in now, like, so if they wanted to put one like here, they wouldn't meet that 10-foot setback. So the building permit wouldn't be approved until they got the variance from the board.
And they're aware of all of these issues as well as the deficiencies in the existing setup?
They should be. They were emailed the staff report.
Okay. Further questions on this item?
I got one.
Ed Lloyd.
Is this new owners? Is this how this all come to light? And because in your talking, were they on a septic at one time? Now they're on municipality.
No, so they are new owners. I think they've owned it for a couple of years now, and they're replacing the mobile homes with newer models. So like this entire row pretty much is newer model single wides. They're still on septic. They're just in the city's 1 mile jurisdiction for septic. So all of that permit and sizing requirements came from the city.
You haven't received any complaints on this?
No.
Okay. Further questions for staff before I go to the audience? Okay. Are there any audience members that wish to speak on this item today? Hearing none and seeing none. Staff is recommending approval of conditional use permit CU-21 with 18 conditions. Is that correct?
Correct, yes.
Is there a motion?
I'd move approval.
Second.
Motion and second. Further discussion? There is no further or final comment on this item before the Planning Commission votes. Okay, roll call vote.
Rich,
Aye.
Lloyd,
Aye.
Travis,
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Motion carries. Brings us to item 8.
Item 8 is conditional use permit CU 20-22. It's to allow a second residence to be used as a housing for hired help on the subject property in limited agriculture district. The applicant is Mike and Angela Holmberg. Currently, the lot is zone limited agriculture district. It is 24.29 acres. It's off Bradsky Road. It is in the 100-year floodplain. There is currently a single-family residence on the property, two equipment buildings and shops, two detached garages, and a loafing shed. This was routed around for review. The city of Rapid City commented that the future land use is rural residential and that Bradsky Road is a minor arterial, and that the proposed setback for the building shouldn't intrude on the additional road size in the future. They did say that adding an additional structure may require an exception to the 40 units with only one point of access rule. When considering conditional use permits, there's those 5 things. It appears by allowing the conditional use permit, there would be no long-term negative effects in the use of enjoyment on other property in the immediate vicinity. Allowing this conditional use permit should not affect the normal orderly development or improvement of any surrounding properties in the area. It appears that all utilities and access roads are already provided. That off-street parking, there should be plenty of parking, and that the proposed use should not create any above listed elements in the amount that would constitute a nuisance. So I did not mention that the county highway wants them to use the existing approach for the new house. Staff did contact the applicant, who stated that the proposed residence is for his son, and his son is compensated to do general labor on the property, hence the hired hand. Housing for hired help in the past has been temporary in nature, so a single wide, double wide, or mobile home where it can be removed from the property when the requirement for help is no longer needed. That's a condition that any house that's put on there is removable. The applicant will need to sign a range hands agreement prior to the issuance of a building permit, and staff has not received any complaints or concerns for the request, and so staff is recommending approval of conditional use permit CU 20-22 with 11 conditions.
Thank you. Are there any questions for staff on this item? I have a few. So the temporary house has to be a single wide or double wide mobile home that can come and go on the property.
Yeah, or like a governor's house, something that just can be, when the use for the help is no longer needed, that it can be removed off.
And that's part of that's one of the conditions.
Yes.
Okay. They're going to use the existing driveway.
I don't think highway would issue a second approach permit. I think that's what the common is. So if they're going to have to use that
Okay.
original approach.
And then this house is north of the Rapid Creek, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Those are my questions. Any further questions for staff before I go to the audience?
Sir.
Go ahead.
I'd just like to voice the concern. The commission's been pretty strict on the 40-unit rule on Bradsky Road. I mean, there's a couple other people that wanted to put housing down there, and with no second access, it's been pretty difficult, and people have been turned down. I'm not gonna. I think this will have to come to the commission, and I'll move it forward. But I think I just wanted to make sure that the applicant's aware of that. And thanks for bringing that up, because it has been a pretty big issue.
Any further comments?
No, I think Lloyd took mine. I was contemplating how I was going to say it. I think Lloyd put it well, because that 40, the number 40 individuals on that road, it's one of our. I think we've not approved a couple of different homes out in that way, or extra homes.
Yes, some of them have been different situations. Separations, lot separations, and one has a house, one we wouldn't allow. I think a developer has some lots out there that they want to put on there too, and that was one of the reasons why we said no to. I understand this is a ranch home that's removable and so forth, and they're, as Richard said, north of the creek. So, I mean, I think every situation is different, but I just want the applicant to be aware of some of the difficulties we've had in this area.
Any further comments? Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on this item? Sir, go ahead and come up to the podium and state your name for the record, and we can try to answer your questions.
My name's Mike Holmberg, the owner of the property. I had went to the county highway department, I think that it is, and access was available. All they needed was specific points to where they can come and measure it. There is, I understand the 40 rule, since that was improved or put forward, there has been building farther up. I am very close to Highway 44. I don't think that would be, one of the issues. There was a proposed conditional use permit when Merlin Stromer did a housing development that on the other side, the south side of the bridge, he was supposed to connect over to Airport Road. And then when they redid the bridge on Bradsky, I came to the meeting because of the homeowners farther up that that was set forth, and I don't know whatever happened to that. I work at the fire department, and the load limits they put on that bridge at the time, we couldn't even take an ambulance over it. Fortunately, there was never an issue, and we have a new bridge. Everything is good now. I mean, being as close to Highway 44 as it is, I can't see the traffic would impact. It would be connected with a driving gravel surface to the original driveway, but they would like to have their own approach into the property, which is very short. And the way I understood it from the county highway department, just the permit would have to be obtained, but they needed measurement points, so they can go out and measure and say, yeah, that's where it would be feasible to put it. So
Okay.
that's all I have.
Any questions for the applicant before
I
he
just got
steps
one
away?
comment, Rich.
Go ahead.
Thank you for coming up and being here today and kind of explaining your situation. I truly believe, these boards are to sit here and evaluate, and everything's, we can't set a condition or ordinance, and we're here to see what the differences are to make that decision. I think in your case, you're correct. I mean, you're before the bridge, you're closer, and I don't have a problem with yours, but I just wanted to express,
Sure.
that it's been a hot topic for the last 2 or 3 years with the 40 unit rule in that area, and you explained why.
And
Which
I agree with
stinks.
your comment, because
Yeah.
it could be an issue. And before the bridge there, it was a big issue.
And so, people could say, well, you approved it for them, and you're not approving for me. I just want you to make sure that as this moves forward, that you're present to explain your side.
Sure. And I can be here anytime. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead, Jim.
yeah, I would agree that this circumstance would allow for an exception to that 40 rule. I know last year we approved a couple of building sites up at Hysiga in circumstances and terrain that to me is profoundly deadly in the event of some major event. And this, I think, kind of pales in comparison. So I'm glad we're talking about it. I wish we had talked more seriously about that one up at Hysiga. But in any event, I'm glad that people are thinking about this. Addressing this issue on the bridge was, I was unaware of that situation, but I'm glad to hear that. And the fact that it is so close to Highway 40 seems to me to give some rational sort of justification for exceeding that 40 rule. So I would be in favor of providing this exception, although I don't think we've been nearly as stringent on this in the past as perhaps we ought to be. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for the comment. Does anyone else in the audience wish to speak on this item? If there's no final comment from the public on this item, the commission will vote. Did we have a motion
No.
for approval? I'm getting ahead of myself, I'm sorry. Staff is recommending approval of conditional use permit CU 20-22 with 11 conditions. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Further discussion on this item? Hearing none, seeing none. Roll call vote.
Rich,
Aye.
Lloyd,
Aye.
Travis,
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Motion carries. Brings us to item 9.
Good morning, Stephanie Jansen, Planner 1. Item 9 is conditional use permit 2023 for Donald and Victoria Pinn to allow an accessory structure before a primary structure in a low-density residential district. There is no special flood hazard area. Access is off of Tall Pine Road. The lot is currently vacant, and I am going to briefly go over the responses to the 5 factors that the Planning Commission may consider in review of this conditional use permit. The use of the proposed accessory structure should not affect the use and the enjoyment of other property in the immediate vicinity. Staff cannot predict the effect the use may have on the property values within the immediate vicinity. It appears that by allowing this conditional use permit, the use should not affect the normal orderly development or improvement of any surrounding property in the area. The proposed use should not require any utilities or facilities that are not already in place. Access should be provided off of Tall Pine Road, and the applicant will need to obtain an approved approach permit prior to establishing the approach. Staff has no drainage concerns relating specifically to the applicant's request at this time, and it appears that there is enough parking available. The proposed conditional use, by its very nature, should have limited odor, fumes, dust, noise, vibrations, and intrusive lighting. And staff does recommend approval of conditional use permit CU 2023 with conditions.
Thank you. Are there any questions for staff on this item? Hearing none, seeing none. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on this item? Sir, go ahead and you can come up to the podium. Please state your name for the record.
My name's Don Pine. Okay, I own roughly 12 acres up there.
Okay.
That's my property. I own 3 lots. Okay, being up in the hills, there's not many places you can build. And this is about the only place I can put another storage shed. And so that's why I picked this area.
Okay.
I already have a house up there, but this is the only other place to build,
Okay.
okay?
Any questions for the applicant?
No.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
You bet.
Any further comments from the public on this item? Hearing none, seeing none. Roll call. Excuse me. I'm
Move for approval.
getting ahead of myself again.
Second.
There is a motion and second for approval of item 9. Further discussion. Hearing none, seeing none. Roll call vote.
Rich,
Aye.
Lloyd,
Aye.
Travis,
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Motion carries. Brings us to item 10.
Morning, Commissioners. Jason Thennison, County Planner. Agenda item number 10 is conditional use permit 20-24 for West River Solar LLC. Agent is Ross Verba, and he is on the line if you have any questions for him. Property owner is Hollis Arlen. The applicant's agent, Ross Verba, is requesting conditional use permit for a utility-scale solar energy system in a general agricultural district. The project will be located approximately 1 3/4 miles south of the intersection of East Highway 44 and South Airport Road. The project will transmit solar energy from the project substation to the point of interconnect. The point of interconnect is a West River Electric-owned substation, and the project will utilize typical photovoltaic panels and modular central inverters. There are factors the planning commission may consider in the review of conditional use permit application. I'll read staff's responses. They are on the screen for you to follow along. Starting with number 1, West River Electric LLC does not anticipate negatively affecting the use and enjoyment of property in the immediate vicinity. Solar is a low-profile, low-impact, virtually noiseless, and odorless. Numerous studies have demonstrated that properties adjacent to solar panels projects do not see negative property value impacts, nor does having a solar project as a neighbor negatively impact the ability to sell agriculture or residential properties. Number 2, West River Solar LLC does not anticipate impeding the development or land use surrounding the project area, which is predominantly agriculture. The project meets or exceeds required setbacks with the exception of variance 20-10, which was approved by the Board of Commissioners on October 20th of this year. The project should not impede agricultural practices in the surrounding area. Number 3, West River Solar LLC does not require public services. All electrical connections will be completed to the standards that are required to connect to the electrical grid. Permanent gravel access roads will be required and will be constructed to meet applicable Ordinance 14 standards, or variance will be obtained. Standard industry practices will be implemented for drainage and soil erosion control. Permits for construction, such as an NPDES and an SWPPP, will be obtained. And number 4, West River Solar LLC will require minimal permanent off-street parking. During the construction phase of the project, temporary laydown yards will be used for equipment deliveries, component assembly, and crew member parking. During the operational phase of the project, visits to the site for vegetation maintenance and equipment checks and repair will be infrequent, and vehicles necessary for visits will park within the designated parking areas. And lastly, number 5, West River Solar LLC will not produce offensive odors, fumes, dust controls will be in place during the construction and operation of the project. Lighting will be used for security and safety purposes, and it will be downlit, motion switch activated. Lighting will be designated to comply with NEC state and local restrictions. All right, as the properties sit today, for the sake of description, I've labeled them Lot A and Lot B on the screen for you. Lot A is 160 acres, general agriculture district. Access is provided via unimproved section line. It is vacant of any structures or utilities. There's no special flood hazard, and there is, like I said, section line on the eastern side of the property, right here. And Lot B, the larger of the two lots, is 320 acres, also general agriculture district. Access is provided via unimproved section lines, vacant of any structures or utilities, and there is special flood hazard area on this property. If you can see on the screen in the lower southern corners of the property. And there is also section lines on this property, both on the southern boundary and the eastern boundary. The request was sent out for interdepartmental review. County Highway had the following note. The access road will need to be constructed Ordinance 14 standards. An approach permit will need to be obtained. A site plan for stormwater detention and drainage needs to be provided, as well as a drainage study. And these are all included as conditions of approval. County Natural Resources Director also had comments stating that the area of the request has prairie dogs present, and that prairie dogs are a species of management concern in South Dakota, and they recommend controlling the prairie dog town prior to disturbance to minimize prairie dog movement onto neighboring landowners' property. The Rapid City Regional Airport also had a comment stating that they checked with the FAA and that they are more concerned with on-airport than off-airport solar farms, and their main concern is glare and glint directed at the air traffic control tower or an approaching aircraft. And that if those items are considered in the design of the solar farm, the airport does not have any objections. And one thing I wanted to note in your packet is my staff comment there. I think it originally read that the location of the project is visible from the air traffic control tower, and that's not correct. It should have said is not. It is actually behind a hill and not directly in line of sight with the air traffic control tower. Additionally, the solar panels are non-reflective and they produce less glare than a body of water per the applicant's agent. This is what the project is proposed to look like. As you can see, the two properties, and One of the phases actually straddles a property that was the purpose of the variance that he obtained last week at the Board of Commissioners meeting. Staff's analysis of the request is, like I just mentioned, they did receive an approved variance for that setback, the 25-foot setback of this property line here, so they can build up to it from the north. Earlier this month, staff met with the property owner, Hollis Arlen, and performed a site visit to the subject properties to verify that there was no line of sight issues with the air traffic control tower at the airport. There are section lines on the eastern lot line as well as the southern lot line of Lot B, and those require a 58-foot setback, and that is included as a condition of approval. And with that, staff recommends approval of conditional use permit 20-24 with conditions.
Thank you. Are there questions for staff on this item? I have a few. Is West River Solar associated with West River Electric at all? Or are they completely separate entities?
Only with this project, there are separate entities.
West River Electric had no comments on this item.
They did not.
They're planning on tying into the West River Electric substation. Is
That's
that correct?
And Mr. Verba is.
I'm the applicant, if I can answer it, if that's okay.
I'll tell you what, we'll go through comments with staff here quick, and then maybe if there's ones that specifically you can answer, I'll have you address those after we get through these initial questions.
Yes, sir.
Does the county require bonding of such a solar farm like this?
That's correct, and that's actually a condition I'd like to add.
Okay. Is this the first time this has been in front of the board?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So then I'll leave my last question for the applicant's agent.
Okay.
Any further questions for staff on this item before we go to the applicant's agent?
I did notice one thing, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
And it might just be because of the requirements of the ordinance versus what's written. Recommendation number 2 is a 7-foot high fence, but in the applicants, they said they're gonna put in 8-foot fences. We're just saying 7 foot because that's our ordinance.
That's correct.
But they're putting in that or bigger. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't a typo.
Right, yeah, he's proposing an 8-foot fence.
Okay.
Any further questions for staff? Okay.
Rich, he said they wanted to add bonding to the conditions. Would that be 27?
That's correct.
How would you word that?
I think we have some verbiage from a previously approved staff report for a solar array that we added bonding in there. Jerry, would you happen to have that
Yeah, I'm
verbiage?
gonna look for it real quick.
How much bonding?
Whatever the estimate is to cover reclamation of the area.
Okay. That was my only question.
Okay. Anything, Jim, before we go to the applicant's agent?
No.
Okay. Ross, are you still on the line?
Yes, sir. I have only 2 comments to it, but thanks for your time. There was a question about West River and no comments from them. So West River Electric and Basin Electric actually working in sync. They're the one that are purchasing the electricity from this facility from us directly. So we're working actually with them, not only on selling the electricity, but also on finishing our interconnection studies to design and engineer and to get into their substation. So they've been working with us. Second clarifying point, the acreage is mentioned in a lot 1 and lot 2. That is not actually what we will use for development of the solar facility. The total acreages that we will use for solar PV install is just under 100 acres. Although those lots are in excess of 450 together, we will only use less than 100.
Okay. Are there any questions for the applicant from the board? So One of the questions I have is how long, what sort of a lifespan does this, will this solar array have?
So initially, our contract with West River Electric starts at the end of 2022. We have to be online by December 31st, 2022. Our initial contract is 20 years, but our hopes are that we can extend it up to 35. The design and life expectancy of solar PV today is 35 years.
So at the end of the 35 years, do the panels just all get replaced, or does the site get removed? What is the process at the end of the lifespan of this this build?
Right. So our obligation to West River and to Ellis Ireland, the landowner, is that we have to have everything removed. We have a language spelled out as to what it means. Anything 36 inches below surface has to be taken out, completely remediated, recompacted, reseeded, and put it in the equal or better condition than we found it. And that's why the bond is obviously placed based on the cost of the reclamation. We only have guarantee of the first 20 years. None of us really know what's going to happen 20 years from now. We're hoping that the solar panels will be out, fully paid for. And although every year they decrease in production by 0.05%, so it's a 0.5% reduction for degradation. 20 years from now, they will produce 90% of what it is today, which is still pretty substantial. What I've seen in other parts in Europe, not in the United States, Europeans are about 20 years ahead of us in this. There is a whole secondary market for resale of the solar panels. Farmers love to use them. They're not as productive as the new panels, but they're still perfect for power and pivots and things of that nature. So they will be resold to secondary market.
So all of the panels would be planned for resale at the end of their life, their useful life as this purpose?
Yes, sir. And likely there is some degradation percentage. Throughout the year, we have our maintenance folks that when some of those panels malfunction, they need to be replaced, throughout the life cycle. Unfortunately, the way that the PV solar array is coupled kind of works like a Christmas tree. Once your light goes out, pretty much everything behind it goes out. So you have to be on top of it, making sure that all the panels are performing.
So we've had some substantial hailstorms here in the past year. How do these hold up to large hail in the baseball size range?
Well, that's a good question. Probably not well. That being the case, the only way that we can actually manage for that risk is through an insurance umbrella policy. But I'm not going to lie to you. If it's a golf ball kind of a hail, there'll be some damage.
Okay. Does the bonding that is being discussed include the removal of the panels and disposal of panels and those types of things if they don't get sold on a secondary market?
I would have to ask the
Yes.
applicant's agent to speak to that.
I have not seen the language that your planners had suggested, but what I've seen in other parts of the country, this is our fourth project in South Dakota. We had 3 of them ahead of you guys in Fall River County. We were building the massive 80 megawatt project there. The language is pretty much the same for wind or solar. It just includes a percentage and some kind of calculation from certified individual that has the education knowledge to provide the number figure for it. Whether we resell it to a secondary market or not, that's just benefit to us. We have to have sufficient bond to take everything off the property.
Mr. Verba, did you have that figure with you by any chance?
I do not. I have actually, I would say I've been doing this for 14 years. Only past year and a half, county start imposing this bonding on us. In the past, we did not have to do that. We were able to discuss with all the counties in different states. The utility, West River, Basin Electric in this case, they make us carry a pretty hefty deposit through the life cycle of this as part of ensuring that we deliver to what we promised, and then we remove it at the end of the lifespan. In this case, this is a $1 million bond deposit that we have to maintain for 20 years. So we were using that in the past. So your bonding would be in addition to that.
Are there further questions for the applicant's agent? Okay. Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to speak on this item? Okay. Hearing none, seeing none. Jason, do you know what item 27 would read?
I'd have Jerry read that for you.
I'll read the previous conditional of approval for the one that was just done in August.
Okay.
So it'll have that dollar amount in there. That a letter of credit or cash surety / bond in the amount of 2.323 million be submitted for the decommissioning of the solar modules. If a letter of credit is submitted, it be reviewed on a yearly basis, and the decommissioning cost estimate be submitted after 10 years of operation. And if the cost estimate for the decommissioning is more than 2.323 million, the surety / bond estimate must meet the most current estimate.
Okay, so how do we add that today without the number from the applicant or someone certified to understand what that cost would be?
I would just make a suggestion, if he bonded with his company, Basin Electric, for $1 million, that would be acceptable. I believe that's the number that we used for the last conditional use permit for a solar array, when they bonded that $2.3 million through the PUC.
So somehow that one would work for both. His bond for not only West River Electric, because he,
That was their estimate for reclamation through
yeah,
them,
through,
and I believe that's what we did. Yeah.
Mr. Verba, do you have a timeline? I mean, I heard that your note about being done by December, you have to be operational by December 2022. Is that correct? But I think it's important that we would
Yeah, that's
make sure that we have the bond amount correct for this project. And you're saying that Basin Electric is requiring a $1 million basically cash in hand deposit up front. Is that right?
that is correct. Yes.
But today you don't have an estimate of what it would, what the reclamation for this site would require.
I do not. The number that you've mentioned, the 2 million, can you tell me how big was the project that you guys bonded it with? Because perhaps we can do it on percentage base. This project is only 20 megawatts. I'm assuming you're talking about the Spring Valley or Spring River, whatever it's called.
Wild Springs, yeah.
It was what?
Right.
Wild
So
Springs.
that's over 100 megawatt size project.
My general question for you is if we continue this item for 2 weeks and allow you to come back to the county with a bonding amount for the reclamation of this site, what does that do to your timeline?
I would accept that. That is fine. I mean, we have a tight timeline, but 2 weeks is not going to move a needle. We are still allowed to keep developing while we are waiting for this last item to provide to you. That would be okay.
Okay. I would ask the board then to have that as a consideration so we get the number right. Being involved with various projects, large, small, the specifics of projects typically drive the actual cost at the end of the day. And I would want to make sure that this is right not only for us, but for West River Solar LLC as well.
do you need like a motion to continue?
I would, I think that that's the prudent path forward for the board based on the information that we have today.
Well, I'd move to continue in 2 weeks.
Second.
Motion and second. Is there further discussion on this item? And then I guess I would add that if there's any other items that, that staff wishes or thinks that, we'll need as a condition of approval in the next 2 weeks, that we gain those. But we'll continue this item for the next 2 weeks. Any further comment from anyone in the public on this item before the Planning Commission votes? Hearing none, seeing none, roll call vote.
Okay, and I just want to point out it's the November 9th Planning Commission meeting. That's
Say again?
November 9th.
Okay. No, this will be continued to the November 9th is the
Yes.
motion.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Rich,
Aye.
Lloyd,
Aye.
Travis,
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Verba, for your information and answers to the questions. Please make sure you get that bonding amount to staff in plenty of time to review to be on the next agenda.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Item 11.
Stephanie Jansen, Planner 1. Item 11 is Layout Plan LPL 2031 for Ron and Susan Johnson to subdivide and create Lot 1 R2 of Joan Ranch subdivision to add area to the existing lot. Existing Lot 1R of the Joe Ranch subdivision is zoned low-density residential with 7 acres, and the southeast quarter less 9.93 acres, and the southeast quarter and less Jones Ranch subdivision and less Caputa Community Cemetery and less dedicated right-of-way is zoned general agriculture district with 128.85 acres. The proposed Lot 1 R2 will have 10.473 acres. There's no special flood hazard area, and a rezone and comprehensive plan amendment will be required to prevent dual zoning. Staff sees no immediate concerns and recommends approval with conditions.
Thank you. Are there any questions for staff on this item? Hearing none, seeing none from the membership. Are there any folks in the audience today that wish to speak on this item? Hearing none, seeing none. There's no final comment from the public on this item before the commission votes. Okay, with that, staff recommends approval of layout plan LPL 20-31 with 7 conditions. Is there a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and second. Further discussion? Roll call vote.
Rich,
Aye.
Lloyd,
Aye.
Travis,
Aye.
Jim.
Aye.
Motion carries. Brings us to item 12.
Morning, Commissioners. Jason Thennison, County Planner. Agenda item number 12 is Layout Plan 20-32. The applicant is Dean and Jennifer Karshnick. The other affected landowner is Timothy and Teresa Ripley. Surveyor is Anderson Engineers. The applicants, Dean and Jennifer Karshnick, have applied for Layout Plan 20-32 in order to reconfigure interior lot lines of the existing subject properties. The landowners proposed Tract CR, Timothy and Teresa Ripley, have also applied for variance 20-11 in order to create a lot size of less than 40 acres in a general agriculture district. This is scheduled to be heard at the November 5th Board of Commissioners meeting. As the lots sit today, Tract C of Lot 1, northwest quarter, is general agriculture district. 40-acre minimum lot size. It is 4.5 acres, considered legal non-conforming at this point. Access is off of Little Tiger Lane. There's no special flood hazard area on the property. It contains a single-family residence as well as an on-site wastewater treatment system. Lot 2, which is on your right, is low-density residential district, which carries a 3-acre minimum lot size. It is 7.8 acres. Access is off of Marshall Gulch Road. There's no special flood hazard area. It contains a single-family residence, 30 by 50 garage, a lean-to, an 18 by 30 picnic shelter, an 18 by 20 carport, as well as an on-site wastewater treatment system. proposed track CR on the screen to your right. It is highlighted in green. Will continue to be general agriculture district consisting of 4.7 acres. Lot size variance or rezone is required. Access is off of Little Tiger Road or Little Tiger Lane. Continues to be no special flood hazard area on the property, contains single-family residence and on-site wastewater treatment system. Lot 2R of Lot 2 of Marshall Gulch subdivision, located on your right on the screen there in red. Low-density residential district, 8.13 acres. Access is off of Marshall Gulch Road. No special flood hazard area. Will continue to contain the single-family residence, on-site wastewater treatment system, garage, lean-to, picnic shelter, and carport. The request was sent out for interdepartmental review, and County Highway Department stated that in reviewing the lot configuration, it was noticed that the house on Tract C is encroaching on the lot on the section line right-of-way, and asked if a section line variance or vacation has been obtained by those property owners. Staff will address this later on in the analysis. Department of Equalization also had comments stating the naming conventions for new parcels. They asked if there was a reason that it was going to be Lot 2R of Lot 2 instead of just Lot 2R. And the applicant's surveyor provided acreages for those and and will be correcting the proposed lot names, and that is included as conditions of approval. And lastly, the Register of Deeds also had comments about the proposed lot names, and that is also included as condition of approval. So staff's analysis of the request is that we noted the recorded acreage of existing tract CR was 4.5 acres, and that proposed tract CR was surveyed at 4.7 acres despite 0.33 acres of it being added to proposed lot 2R. We reached out to Anderson Engineers, who stated in the email that the original plat from 1932 was calculated incorrectly and should have been a higher acreage based on found survey monuments, and then he confirmed that the proposed tract CR will be 4.7 acres. This is zoning of the proposed or the existing lots at this point. Proposed tract CR is zoned general agriculture district, which requires a 40-acre lot minimum lot size. Property was platted in 1932 prior to the zoning ordinance being in effect. It is legal nonconforming. The landowners of this lot, Timothy and Teresa Ripley, have applied for a variance 20-11 in order to create a lot size of less than 40 acres in a general agriculture district. And again, that's to be heard at next week's Board of Commissioners meeting. Proposed lot 2R is zoned low density residential, and it does meet the 3-acre minimum lot size. Again, speaking to the County Highways comments, the survey submitted by Anderson Engineering on October 12th, 2020 appears to show a section line setback violation to the existing residence on tract CR. This would be a violation of the Pennington County zoning ordinance, which requires a 58-foot setback. However, in 2003, a building permit was approved by our office, allowing for a 40-foot setback from that section line. It's unknown why this was approved, so staff will be working with the landowners of proposed tract CR to bring the property into compliance. All that to say, staff finds no significant issues with the applicant's request, as it appears to be in harmony with existing lots and current land uses in the area, and we recommend approval of layout plan 20-32 with conditions.
Thank you. Are there any questions for staff on this item? I have a few. How are you going to work with the landowners regarding the house that encroaches on the section line
I would believe that our office will be submitting a variance for that setback.
on behalf of the landowners?
That's correct.
Based on the building permit from 2003?
That's correct.
Okay. And then is the rest of this just basically a interior lot line swap between landowners?
That's exactly what it is, yep.
My last question is not regarding the, it really doesn't have anything to do with the item, but I don't know if I've ever seen a lot line transition through a section line right away like that before. I'm trying to think of all the ones I've ever seen. Do you see how lot 2R transitions? And obviously it was that was part of lot 2 as well. See how it's going from the center of the section line to the edge? That is not normal. I've just never seen that.
This section line is actually the northern property line, and then on the western side of tract CR.
Right, but the northern lot line of Lot 2R transitions
Oh, you're
across the
talking here?
section
Oh,
line.
Yep. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Interesting. Okay, I was just, my only question had to do with regards of the house that's encroaching on the section line. Any further questions for staff on this item before I go to the public? Hearing none, seeing none. Anybody in the audience, in the public that wishes to speak on this item today? No, hearing none, seeing none. There are no final comments from the public on this item before the commission votes. Recommendation from staff is for approval of layout plan LPL 20-32 with 10 conditions. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Is there further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. Roll call vote.
Rich,
Aye.
Lloyd,
Aye.
Travis,
Aye.
Jim,
Aye.
Motion carries. Brings us to item 13, the county board report.
The county board report, the Board of Commissioners concurred with the Planning Commission's recommendations from the October 12th, 2020 Planning Commission meeting.
Item 14 is items from the public. Does anyone in the audience have anything to bring forward to the commission? Hearing none, seeing none. Item 15, items from staff.
We just have a couple of new employees in our office. We did fill the environmental planner position and the planner position. I will have them at the next planning commission meeting for introductions. I do believe Aaron Tiemann, he's our environmental planner. He is in the audience, but he took over for TJ a couple of weeks ago, so.
Well, welcome. Item 16, items from the membership.
I'm just going to put it out there a little early. On the 11th, I'm having surgery, so that means I might be missing the 23rd of November meeting. They said I won't be able to speak for about 2 weeks.
Okay.
So,
Well, we wish you well.
Yeah.
So you're gone the 23rd of November.
possible. It depends on how my healing goes, but they said expect 2 weeks to be out, and that would actually push me to the 24th, 25th. So we'll see.
Or you could come and just not say anything.
I could just come and not say, but then I wouldn't be able to vote for
That would
it.
be hard for him to do.
Yeah.
I guess I could write yes or no, and then just hold it up to Jerry.
Well, again, we wish you well. Are there any,
Yeah, good luck, Travis.
any other items from the membership?
Rich.
Go ahead, sir.
I just wanted to give a follow-up. At our last planning commission meeting, we had discussion on Old Hill City Road and if there was any future plans for the work and so forth. And I told the membership that I would check with our Joe with our highway department and Ron Ross Connect. And I did have a discussion with them last week on this, and I can report that they don't have no future plans as we were talking for Old Hill City Road. So if you guys later on in the year so much more, if you come up with some questions or concerns that you would like written up and sent to Joe, Brittany could do that and Joe could answer them. You know, if you have concerns so when he does his 5-year plan, at least there's something from this board that he can refer back to what some of the concerns are. So my suggestion would probably be a memorandum written up with what you would like to see, because kind of what I heard at our last meeting is we thought that with the development going up there, the traffic and so forth, they wanted to know if there was any plans there's no place to pull off for emergencies and so forth. But I can report there is no plans for expansion of the road or anything along those lines. So, I mean, as you move forward, that's an option for you. The more development you see up there, if you want to request something from Joe, he's more than willing to answer them. Just communicate to Brittany or something, and he can bring that forward. It's up to you.
Okay, thank you. Any further items from the membership? Hearing none, seeing none. Brings us to item 17, adjournment. Is there a motion?
So moved.
So move.
Who wants to take the second?
I'll second it just to make sure.
All right. Motion and second. Further discussion. Hearing none, seeing none. Roll call vote.
Rich.